when I walked into the bank and went immediately over to my desk, I opened up that right-hand drawer and I saw his card sitting there. And I shut the drawer and I immediately picked up the phone to call and check on voicemail. Which is when I just immediately hung up and thought, oh my gosh, I wasn't supposed to use the phone. I already made a mistake. I messed up. What's going to happen? Am I going to blow up any minute now? And I was just frozen there for a second and staring at the picture of my daughter on my desk and you just die inside. You just die inside. I was just wandering around the bank with dynamite on my body, not knowing what to do, not knowing what to say, trying to help my employees as much as I could without alerting them because I didn't want my daughter or myself or my roommate to end up in a million pieces. I brought one of my employees in there with me because everything's in dual control. I had to tell her, this is what's going on, this is what happened all night. I lifted my shirt, I showed her the dynamite on my back and said, if there's any kind of serial numbers or any kind of distinctive markings, write it down as evidence, and please wait until I call you and I know my daughter's alive before you call the police or we might be blown up. She began to panic. I actually had to calm her down and say, just calm down, you can do this. Call corporate security, do not call the police. My daughter's in a closet, my roommate's duct taped with dynamite. Please do not do anything that is going to jeopardize our lives any further. I didn't know how much money I was grabbing, I didn't know how much money I was giving them.
Strapped with dynamite.
I had absolutely no idea.
These have some crazy ass fucking stories. Makes me
During the
question
course
the
of the
world.
night, when they were going over their instructions over and over and over, they continually said, you need to put it in a specific order, hundreds, 50s, 20s, 10s, the rest on top. They specifically said, no funny money, no marked money. If we find out that you put any of that, any marked money in the bag, don't make us have to come back here and kill you. Don't make us have to come back here to hurt you. So there was no way I was going to do anything to further jeopardize my life, my daughter's life, my roommate's life. I was going to do everything in my power to do everything perfect and right, exactly the way they said it, whether or not it was against bank policy or not. So I come out of the bank and I throw the duffel bag full of money into the passenger seat. At this point, I had been away from my daughter for approximately an hour, and getting into my car and driving with the stick still on my back, not knowing if she's dead or alive, what am I going to find when I get home, wanting to get there as fast as I could, wanting to alert anybody at the stoplights that I could, and just, there were so many things going through my mind, and I had to drive past the bank to get back to my house, which is only about 2 miles away. So, and driving up the back roads and through the windy roads to get home, and as soon as I drove up, my roommate's car was gone.
After about the 4th day, I knew I was going to die. In fact, I asked God, I was like, why haven't I died for this? The body's not supposed to live more than 3 days without water. I tried to jump in the water one day, and I can't commit suicide just because I don't believe it. But I figured if I swam down as deep as I could go, and I ran out of air before I made it to the surface, then it would commit suicide, which it is. But, I tried. It's still hard to do. It's hard to ground yourself at least. So when you hear something go, I'm starving, you know, Troy and I, you know, we were just looking at each other because they really don't know anything. But basically, the way it feels is that your stomach beats your stomach, really. You're sitting there, you look at anything. You know, you look at your fingers, you look at your hand, you look at Troy, or he looks at me. You know, you're thinking, you know what, he might taste good. We found these little jelly balls, you know, floating beside us. They're actually little strands. They'll connect to each other. It's, you know, no bigger than an eraser on a pencil. I mean, that's how little they are. And, you know, they'll strand together and they actually glow at night. They're like a little green color.
And we weren't sure what they were, and so you know, I was gonna eat something. And it was like another thing that if they were poisonous and would kill me, you know, I would go to heaven and, you know, I would be lost out of sin. And,
he ate one. And the next morning he was fine, and he was like, I'll eat some more. So I took my hat off, and I'd scoop him up by a hatful, and he'd eat them.
I slept a few hundred of them. And it tastes like, you know, an oyster, just really fishy and has probably twice as bad aftertaste. Every day was the same ordeal. We always looked for boats, always looked for rescuers. We always prayed, we always cried, we always thought about family. You know, that was just like an everyday process.
We swam around a little bit. I told Troy, you know, we saw some sharks. So the shark grabbed me. Don't even try to eat me. They just let me eat me. So if it kills me faster, I said it's fine.
Josh and I rode down to the boat to our parents with 3-ounce weight to tackle out the front door with the tackle box that was in the water. It was the shape of a pyramid, and we'd use the point of it, and we'd actually, you know, get on the fiberglass inside the boat, and we just engraved letters to our friends. We told them that thanks for being friends with us. You know, we shared so many good experiences with each other, and then when we talked about our family, we tell them how much we love them, how much we cared for them. But I mean, after writing those notes, you know, it just, you know, we cried, and it was hard to cry because we didn't have any tears. Basically, you know, it was just our hearts were crushed. You know that, you know, I'm not gonna see my dad no more. I'm not gonna see my mom. You know, any of my family. You know.
They had barricaded the front door with the chairs, and I just had to struggle my way in and scream, hello, hello. And that's when I heard my daughter say, Mommy, we're back here. Just hearing her voice was just, my adrenaline was so high. Had just got done forcing my way in the door and knowing that she's alive and getting back there just to figure out what to do. Is she still duct taped? Do we all still have dynamite on us? I ran into the bedroom, and my daughter was still curled up in the closet. My roommate was still on the bed, and I immediately ran to my daughter, just grabbing her face and kissing her, and said, Is the dynamite still on you? No, Mommy, they took it off. But she still had duct tape on her hands and her feet. So I immediately began to get that off of her feet and her hands, and then we both began to untape and unduct tape my roommate who was on the bed. And I told them, the dynamite's still on me. You guys need to go for help. You guys go for help. I'll stay here. I don't know if this thing's going to detonate. I don't know what's going to happen. And my daughter was going, No, Mommy, no, I'm not leaving you. My roommate said, Michelle, they took it off of our bodies so fast. They just carelessly ripped it off of our bodies. I know I can do this. And I was saying, No, just go run for help. And she's like, Let me just cut it off of you. And at that point, I just wanted it off my body. I was saying, just take it off of me, just get it off of me. And she ran and got scissors and cut it off of me and took the duct tape and the dynamite and put it outside on the retaining wall. And we ran to the neighbors for help.
on the 7th day, when I woke up, I looked out and there was, big old rainbow. And the next thing I looked down in the water and there was 3 or 4 dolphins, 2 little baby dolphins swimming around. So I woke Troy. He was still dead asleep, and I had to show him. It was just not sight. Troy and I sat there in that morning watching dolphins for probably 2 or 3 hours.
It was like all these signs were being thrown at us, and I told Josh, you know, he was going to die, go ahead, and there's something that's hard. And it was just almost like I knew I was going to die that night. I knew I had it in me to go another night.
And we started praying, I just started saying, God, I said, if you're gonna rescue us and do it, I said, not just let us die. I basically gave him an option. He had no other options. And it wasn't 5 minutes later, Troy goes, I hear an engine. And I was like, well, it's probably like every other boat. It should go right past us.
Something told me to stand up and to see where it was. And when I stood up and I realized it was coming right for us, it was like a burst of energy in me. And I started going crazy. And I told Josh to stand up. We started waving our paddles and screaming. And it was like they went straight for us. And it was an amazing feeling.
As soon as I got on the boat, it felt like everything was just lifted off our shoulders. Like we couldn't hardly walk. It felt like it just hit us then that, how miserable we were, how close to dying we really were.
The first phone call I made was to my dad. And, I told him, I said, Dad, I'm alive, I'm alive. He just screamed my name, Troy, really loud. And after that, he hung up. And I guess he was really excited to hear that, I'm still alive and still on the earth.
I survived because my granddad and my dad and all that, they always told us my whole life that, if you get in a situation, don't panic, think about it, stay with the boat, especially if you're on the water, always stay with the boat. If it wasn't for their advice and the friendship of God being with us, there's no way we would have ever made it.
I survived this trip mainly, and I believe this is because of God, the grace of God. There's a reason why, I'm on this earth. Our friendship now turned into a brotherhood, and we're always there for each other, and we'll be there for each other to the day we die.
Began recalling a lot of detail, and the FBI and the police were really, really happy that I immediately began to tell them to cover my desk and get the card out of the right-hand drawer of my desk that I know that one of the people who did this to us was a man named Christopher Butler. It's never over for survivors. Even when we did survive, and we're choosing a very positive path, it doesn't mean that we don't have to cope with the effects of a violent victimization almost every day of our lives. I survived because I'm my daughter's mother. And I survived because there's so much more life to live for me. will I ever see my husband again. And this monster is here, and he's going to do me in. I have to do anything in my power to keep my child safe. If that means sacrificing myself, that means sacrificing myself.
I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I thought, my gosh, I killed myself.
I vowed that I would not sleep. I was going to remain awake until and if I died. I have very, very good instincts, and I just felt in my heart that this man wanted to cause me harm. Chakowski's behavior towards co-workers and patients alike was very erratic. It was very unpredictable. Staff felt very uneasy. They didn't know from day to day, from minute to minute, how he would be with them. Chakowski had me, in particular, enmeshed in a conspiracy theory. I was part of the CIA. I was part of the FBI. I was out to get him. They were clearly the ramblings of a drug-impaired lunatic. I had never felt such a feeling of fear, of personal fear. And this is when my position of authority had to take over, and we had to start beginning to take action. I really thought that I had put him away, that I was just praying that he had been removed from my professional existence. The security staff are unarmed. There are gates that at the time are open. So basically, anybody could walk on to the grounds at any time for any reason whatsoever. It was actually a very easygoing day. I had just paged Carol Kepner. She was one of my managers, a lovely woman. So she was just coming in and just getting ready to sit down, and I was looking up, and I could see Chakowski coming in. I could see a gun, and it was black and shiny, and it looked like a toy, just a toy gun. The first thing Chakowski said to me was, "Are you ready to start telling the truth now? It's time now to start talking." And I said, "What are you talking about?" That's when he began shooting at me. And he shot me at a very close range. And he just proceeded to shoot both of my wrists, my breast, and my right foot. At this point, my body just felt like it was in a state of explosion. I had no choice at that point than just to fall back, and I just fell back into my chair. And I began screaming, and he said, "Shut up, I'm gonna kill you." And as much as I did not imagine that I could shut up because I was in such excruciating pain, I shut up. I looked over at Carol just to get grounded, and I could see abject horror. She was looking at me like, "Oh dear God." And I was just holding my wrist, my right wrist. I could see bones sticking out. And I thought, geez. I just thought this was it. I was absolutely going to drop dead. And I can't even scream. will I ever see my husband again? And this monster is here and he's going to do me in.
I remember the World Series was on the radio between the Cardinals and the Tigers, and I'm a big baseball fan, so I was just taking it easy, driving, listening to the World Series, and enjoying the scenery. I stopped. I remember buying a Coke and getting some chips maybe or some crackers, thinking that I might get a bite to eat and then head home. Well, I knew I needed to call my wife. But the problem was my cell phone wasn't getting a signal. Something came out of the roadway. I mean, it just came out of the roadway in an instant. I believe it was a deer. I couldn't say for sure. I was going fast enough to where I got off at the shoulder of the road and on some gravel. I tapped on my brakes. As I did, the car went into a spin and went over the side of the van. And as it did, it hit the tops of the trees. And rather than tumbling over and over, it whirled around as it did, banging up against the trees. Windshields busting. It's like being on the worst roller coaster ride you can imagine. It seemed like I was never hit the bottom before. And as I was flying down, I just saying my prayers because I believe that this was it. I wasn't going to survive the impact, let alone any type of crash or explosion or anything like that.
We were kind of watching a movie together and laying on the couch, and we just decided we'd sleep down there 'cause it was too hot upstairs and we were too tired to go anywhere else. So locked up the house and turned off the TV and laid down with my daughter and went to sleep. And I woke up, it was around 2:30. Woke up because I felt something sharp on my neck, felt pressure on my back. Basically, felt like someone was laying on top of me. My first thought was my husband had gotten out of work early and he was just messing with me. And I heard a voice that I didn't recognize, and that's when I realized that it was not my husband. I didn't have my glasses on, I was sleeping when he came in, and I can see about 3 inches in front of my face without my glasses. He was about 5'10", probably 160, 170 pounds, crooked front teeth. He had very disheveled hair. I couldn't tell you if he was on drugs, most likely, but he was a scary, crazy looking person, eyes glazed over, just didn't look like he was all there. When I started screaming, my daughter woke up and she started screaming. Because if I didn't shut her up, he was going to kill her. What was going through my mind is I have to do anything in my power to keep my child safe. And if that means sacrificing myself, that means sacrificing myself. So I looked at my 2-year-old daughter and told her that it was the only time she ever listened to Mommy in her life, that she needed to listen to Mommy right now, that she needed to go up to her bedroom and shut her door and not come until Mommy came to get her. And she did. He had ripped me off my back and he was laying on my stomach. When I tried to scream, he put his hand over my mouth. I bit him. He slapped me. when he tried to wrestle me down, I tried to wiggle away, took the knife and cut my arm. He cut my chest. Basically just to show me that he would kill me. I couldn't let him hurt my daughter. And I had to do anything I could to keep him happy so that he wouldn't. I remember looking up at the clock. I just needed to get grounded. I needed to just know that, first of all, I hadn't died. I was trapped. Callie was sitting in front of my desk, and she looked as well like a caged animal. I looked down, and I could see I'm a very vain person. And I remember thinking, this was a brand new pair of shoes, and he shot my shoe. And I thought, damn. That's a brand new pair of shoes shot. And yet I'm thinking, I'm hurting. I don't know what to do. I can't speak. But yet all this kind of stuff was going through my mind. And I thought, you gotta just keep thinking. You gotta get through it. So I just kept thinking of these very odd, unusual things. At this point, Joukowsky wanted to scream at me and accuse me of being involved in his conspiracy, knowing what was in his mind, and he was trying to contact the FBI, he was trying to contact the CIA. He wanted an investigation into his that it had been unfair, unfounded. He wanted a meeting with all kinds of high officials, and he wanted me present. I mean, the fact that I was there bleeding to death really didn't seem to enter into his mind. The building had a lot of reverberation. It was apparent that there were a lot of police inside, and this really unnerved him. So he would be on the phone and saying, get people out of here, or these women are going to get hurt. I heard a woman's voice, and I remember her name was Jill, and she was on the phone, and she was trying her best to get Joukowsky to listen to reason. And as the women, this is no way to resolve anything. He would hear nothing of that. It seemed to, in fact, make him angrier.
I'd opened my eyes and I was still alive. I was in the back seat of the car. Initially thinking wow, how did this happen? And then I could see that the back of the seat was just bent backwards. The car was completely covered. It had knocked some big limbs off of the trees. They had covered the car up. The windows and front door and the back door were completely out. And sharp pains in my chest. I was aching. Again, my head hurt. I hit my head on the top of the car. And as I began to move around, one of the first things I noticed was that I had a limb in my throat. And I didn't really notice it at first until I began to move about. And, you know, when you've got an 18-inch limb sticking out of your throat, anytime you turn your head, you realize it's attached to it. And I thought, okay, that needs to come out. I reached up to feel where it was, and certainly it was in my throat, and I began to tug on it to get it out. But the more that I tugged, the tighter the grip of my flesh was on the stick. And so I remembered that I had a knife in my console. It was a marmalade knife, 5 inches long. I was able to open it and cut around the base. And as I cut, I could pull on the stick, but again, the flesh wouldn't give, the stick wouldn't come out. Very painful. I was having to actually cut parts of my skin, and each time I did that, it seemed like the tighter the flesh would hold on to the stick. And the more that I pulled, the more frustrated I began to become. I don't know what really happened. If I exposed adrenaline, maybe pushed the knife in too far. I don't know if the knife was sharper than I realized. I stuck it in hard, pulled hard, and the stick came out, and a stream of blood shot out of my hand right in front of my eyes. From the back seat all the way to the dash. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I thought, my gosh, I killed myself.
If it was much stronger than me, larger than me. And at that point I realized fighting wasn't going to do any good. It wasn't going to get me anywhere. He took my clothes off and he assaulted me in the living room twice, I believe. And then he grabbed me by my hair, told me to get him a pair of socks to put on his hands because he didn't want to leave fingerprints, and told me to go get him a drink. And he drug me into the kitchen by my hair. I walked by a cast iron frying pan, which I seriously considered picking up and hitting him with, but decided not to because I didn't know if I'd hit him hard enough to actually knock him out. And if I didn't, I was just going to make him mad. So he told me to get him a drink, and I did. He dragged me back into the living room where he assaulted me again. He was in the house with me for 2 hours, assaulting me, forcing me to have little sex, smacking me around, just basically anything he wanted to do. I offered him all the money I had in the house. I offered him my jewelry. I offered him my car. I just wanted him to leave. And he grabbed an extension cord that was in the living room, unplugged the lamp that it was plugged into, and tied my hands behind my back. Basically, you need to shut down. You can't think about what he's doing to you. You have to... It's almost like you're not in your body and you're watching him do this to you. Like, you're not there. I was begging him to let me go. My daughter, she can't be home by herself. She's too little. And he said, his only response was, don't ask questions. Don't talk, just shut up. When he took me out of the house, I honestly thought I was dead. I figured that I was never going to see my family again. I was going to be found in the river. I honestly didn't think he was going to let me live at that point. I would describe Chakowski as growing increasingly strung out. He was becoming more frenetic. He was becoming more possessed about his mission, as crazy as it was. And he was getting nowhere. heavy, beautiful statues of cats and dogs that some of my staff and some of my family had given me. And I remember looking over thinking, boy, it would sure be good to get a couple of those and hit him over the head. On a normal day, I knew that I could have easily overtaken him. Certainly after being shot 4 times, I knew that I was no physical match, and feeling very responsible for Carol, being her supervisor and being her friend, I knew that if I made one wrong move and took a chance, I could seriously hurt myself, but more importantly, I could have hurt her. And I knew that ethically I could not take that chance. I remember clearly that there were bologna sandwiches, potato chips, and these little small cartons of iced tea. It was my decision not to eat. That was my gasoline. That was not going to be my choice. As darkness grew, I was panic. I was so lonely for my family. I had spent so many long hours there on the job, but yet I always knew that the day would end. I always knew that I would go home and see my husband and see my dog and my cat. I started like shaking. I started like getting the shakes, the chills. I was dying for like a blanket, and I whispered to Carol, "I'm cold." And she knew that I had like a little jacket over there. And she said to Tchaikovsky, can she get a jacket? And he said, all right. So at least she was able to get me a light jacket. Throughout the night, we would be able to squeeze each other's hand, touch each other. That meant the world to me. To me, that was the human connection. Just to be able to look in her compassionate eyes, I felt like I had a friend. I felt like I had somebody that could try to understand what I was going through. I vowed that I would not sleep. I was going to remain awake until and if I died.
I thought, my gosh, I killed myself. There's no way I could survive. I literally just couldn't believe it. And I pulled my t-shirt up and covered the hole. And after a few seconds, I just passed out. When I looked up, I felt it in my neck, and I began breathing. And after a few breaths, I realized I was exhaling. I was holding my throat. I could hear the skin flapping. I began to smell gasoline in the car. Very, very strong smell of gasoline. And knowing what I know about gasoline, what everybody knows about gasoline, it's not a good place to be around if it's leaking, especially when you've just been in an accident. So I hoisted myself up on my leg and slid out on my back onto the rear of the car. I then just fell all the way off the trunk, the backward position, and landed on my head. I just laid down there and went to sleep, believing that I would not wake up. And I don't know how long I slept, but eventually I woke up. And I seemed to understand that while I was hurt, I wasn't going to die. That I needed to avail myself of my senses and do whatever it would take to get through that evening. All the blood that was on me, there might be a coyote around, or raccoons. Certainly, I have a fear of snakes. Considering where I was, I figured the safest place for me to be was inside the car. Now I just been contemplating what my family might be doing in the house. I knew they would have no idea where I was. If they were searching for me, they would be searching for me 35, 40 miles away on a different road. It wouldn't make sense that I would be on the road that I was on. I needed to relieve myself, and as I did, I noticed there was blood in my ear. That concerned me greatly. Having some medical knowledge, I knew that I was bleeding internally, and I knew I had a long night ahead of me. I didn't feel like I was possibly doing to get out of the situation.
He had the knife to my throat. He told me if I screamed, if I made any noise, he would go back in the house and kill my daughter. My daughter's stroller was in the trunk. And he basically picked me up and threw me in on top of it and shut the trunk. And I just kept thinking I have to make it through this for her. I had maybe 6 inches that I could move my feet. I couldn't move my arms because they were still tied behind my back. So I sat there, praying, trying to figure everything out. He drove around town. He picked people up. I could hear them talking. Through the back seat, I could hear the radio playing. I could hear laughter. I heard him tell his friends that he had some stupid chick in the trunk. I heard him give my wedding ring to someone. And the question she asked was, is it real? He drove around. He dropped his friends off. He stopped after a few hours and took me out of the trunk in an abandoned lot. He untied me and raped me again with instead. I was just begging him to please let me go. And he's like, well, I can't let you go. What can I do with you? I think at that point he realized he was above his head and that he didn't know what to do anymore. He just didn't know how to get rid of me, basically. I was begging him, just leave me somewhere. I don't care. Leave me on the street corner. I need to get home to my daughter. She can't be home by herself. Thinking about her constantly. Sorry. Just kept thinking that I had to get home to her because there wouldn't be anyone to take care of her if I didn't. I was alive with pain the entire time. I have never felt such excruciating pain. The entire front of my abdomen was bloodstained. My entire lower arm was bloodstained, and my entire right foot was bloodstained. Carol really used every ounce of her nursing ability to appeal to Tchaikovsky's sense of humanity. She would say to him, can't you see that Maria's hurting? Can't you see that she's bleeding? Can't you see that she's in agony? This was met with cold, blank, dead stares. He snored a lot throughout the night, and that infuriated me. And I thought, I'm glad you're sleeping so soundly that you can sleep right through this. My foot fell asleep. And that was a very uncomfortable feeling for me because I was afraid that if I moved it, then he would think that I was trying to get up and escape. I was wondering where help was. I was bleeding to death. I just couldn't understand what would be preventing the police from actually breaking in. I was wondering for 45 hours and 30 minutes where people were. The second morning, which was Friday morning, the bullhorn did wake us up, and that caused him to untie us. And then shortly after that is when all hell broke loose.
I decided that I would try to get out of the car, get up the ravine. I got out of the car again. It was a painful, difficult ordeal. This is something that took 35, 40 minutes. Push the door open and squeeze my body with the door of the car pushing on my ribs. And for some reason, someone had placed a barbed wire fence at the bottom of this ravine. The only way I could get around this fence or through this fence was to go completely underneath it. That in and of itself took what seemed to be a long time, hour and a half. This ravine was covered in loose rock and gravel. I was wearing a pair of loafers that had no traction whatsoever. I was weak. I couldn't dig my heels or my toes into the ground. There was very little grab open. Each time I tried, I just fell back to the bottom. And I did this for hours. And I couldn't do it anymore. I started my trek back to the car. And I had to go under the fence again. And it probably took me an hour to go, literally 60 feet. When I tried to get back in the door, I noticed a pump bottle. And I had to finish drinking. So very carefully took the lid off, took a few steps, and wondering whether or not it would come out the hole and take place. But fortunately, it didn't. And it went inside very carefully with all of it, with all of it. Say again, my point was so much, I would give it anything for small. As I leaned back, began to think how long I needed to rest, I looked up in the air and I saw some buzzards. And I thought to myself, my goodness, surely they're not searching for me. What else could have been around?
He took me out of the car again. This time we were in a garage. I tried asking him where are we, and he said it was over there, so I was done about it. He put me in the front seat, forced me to perform all socks. At that point, I kept telling him, I work at 6:30. Now my husband's home. He's going to call the police. And I'm still trying to convince him that, really, he can just let me go. I promise not to say anything. I don't care where you drop me off. He put me back in the trunk and drove around. Finally, the car stopped. And it was running. It was getting really hot. Really, really hot. And I could barely breathe. I couldn't really think straight anymore. I just wanted to be let go. And I basically figured I'm either going to die of suffocation in this trunk or he's going to kill me. But either way, I need to do something. I can't just lay here and die. So I decided I would try to get away. It was really hard to tell when the sun came up because the room was so darkened due to the curtains being drawn. I don't know if it was the workers or the police, but they had shut the electricity down, they had shut the lights down. And I think that's what had also made the room feel so much colder. I can remember hearing a very loud crash through the window that was to the right of me. I could hear and see a SWAT team coming in. At this point, everything just started happening so quickly. I was sitting in front of Carol, and Jakowski was to my left, crouched in the corner. And as he could hear the window crashing, I could simultaneously feel him turn and shoot me. He shot me 2 times, quickly and consecutively. First time, once again, in my chest, breast. The next time, it was in my abdomen and it lodged in my spine. I just fell over and I could hear myself saying, "You've killed me." I looked up and I could see members of a SWAT team above me. And they were like, "Get out, get out." And I'm like, "Yeah, no, get out, I will." And I remember the side stroke from when I was a kid, and I just went like, just got out. I just swam out, crawled out, whatever. I could then hear another gunshot, but I never actually saw. That ending was as quick as the incident was long. My dear husband, Jeffrey, was there, and I looked up and I said, "Where's Carol? Is Carol okay?" And he said, "I'm sorry, honey, she's not okay." And I listened to the answer.
As I got out of the car that time, I told myself that the amount of strength it was taking, if I couldn't get up the ravine and I came back to the car and got in the car, I didn't know if I got the strength to get out of it. I knew that eventually it was going to be a death trap. I started looking at the lay of the land, and I realized that the road itself was going down this way, and I was going down this way. Perhaps I could meet the road if I could get over these rocks. And when I did, I surprisingly found myself on rather flat land. Then I found the fence again. And I didn't want to go under the fence. So I began following it. It came to a spot where it wasn't connected to a fence post. I could literally step over it. And when I reached the top of the gully, I realized I was on the shoulder of the road. As I was walking, I began to take evaluation of my looks. I realized I was covered in blood, rocks, dirt. My hair was matted. I thought, my goodness, who's going to pick me up and sit me off there? A fellow in a pickup truck passed by and slowed down. As he pulled up, he offered me help, and I couldn't talk. Except in a very small whisper. I believe I just said, yeah. As we were heading into town, I was so relieved that I would be able to communicate with my family, talk to my wife, talk to my mother. I said my prayers, I'm still alive, and thank God for it.
I didn't hear the radio, I didn't hear anyone talking, I didn't hear anything, and finally I decided that I don't care if he kills me. I need to try and get out of here. I kicked and kicked and kicked at the back seat until I broke the latch, because it's one of the seats that fold down. I was terrified. I didn't know what I was going to find on the other side. I didn't know if there was going to be in the car. As soon as I saw that there was no one else in the car with me, I knew I had to move quickly. Climbed into the driver's seat, threw the car in drive, and took off. I am